Hi, it's Luke. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to finish building on the Candlestick Pattern EA from the last 3 videos, and we're going to turn those candlestick patterns into live trade orders. So far our EA detects 3 candlestick patterns. If you haven't seen parts 1 to 3, please go and watch those first, as they lay the groundwork for everything we'll do here. If you don't watch those, then you won't be able to do what we're doing. Okay, so let's start by creating some settings for our program. We will start with the position opening. We'll use the CTrade class. We now create an instance of CTrade called trade. Now we want to check if there is a new bar. We create an integer global variable called total bars, and then we initialize it in the onInit function. We now want to check if there is a new bar. We'll use the ibars function for this. And now in the OnTick function, we calculate the total amount of bars again. And then we check if the total amount of bars is now bigger than the value in this total bars variable. We check if the bars variable is greater than this total bars variable, because this means that we now have more bars than we had before. So it pretty much means that there is a new bar in the chart, and only then we update this total bars variable. Now let's say int hammer signal is equal to hammer signal. We do this because all of our functions return an integer value. If the integer value is 1, then we have a buy signal. If it's -1, we have a sell signal. If it is 0, we don't have a signal at all. We can now go ahead and check if the hammer signal is greater than 0. If this is true, then we open the buy position. First, we print new hammer buy signal. Then for the buy position, we use 0.1 lots. We use the current chart symbol, then we provide 0 for the price, the stop loss, and the TP, as we'll add them later. And finally the trade comment, which is hammer buy signal. And we do this so we know what chart signal opened this position. And now we can also say else if hammer signal is smaller than 0, and in this case we have a hammer sell signal. Now let's add some input parameters. At the very top, outside of any of these functions, we will use input bool is hammer, and we'll set it to false. This way you can decide if you want to trade a specific candlestick pattern. For example, you only want to trade the hammer signals, then you would set the other 2 patterns to false and the hammer signals to true. Now we can say we only want to trade the hammer signals if it is active. We will also move this code here. So we only check for hammer signals if the hammer input is set to true. We do the same thing for the engulfing signals. We add the input at the top below the hammer input. Then we say we only want to trade the engulfing signals if the engulfing input is true. Now we also move the engulfing signal equals engulfing signal here, because we only want to check if there are engulfing signals if that input is true. Then we can just copy this block and paste it below. We'll only have to change a few things. And now we do this one more time for the star signals. Again, right at the top, below the other inputs, add input bool is star equals true. Now let's add it in the onTick function. We first check if its star is set to true. Then we want to calculate the star signals in the charts like this. And now we have to check if the star signal is greater than 0 or if the star signal is smaller than 0. If so, then we have a new star signal. And we write morning star and evening star for the order comment. The rest can stay the same. Now let's create some more input variables like a take profit and a stop loss. We'll make them variables so that you can change them in the EA settings later on. For now though, let's just set a default value of 500 points each, which is 50 pips. Now before we start checking for the signals, we need to calculate the stop loss and the take profit. We'll also need to calculate the ask and bid price. We can do that by using the symbol info double function. We then copy this line for the bid price. And now that's done, we can calculate the stop loss for the buy positions. We take the ask price and we subtract the stop loss points and we multiply it with point. Then we round these values. And now we calculate the TP for the buy positions. We take the ask price and we add the TP points multiplied by point. Now we round these values so we don't get any problems later on. We now have to do the same thing for the sell positions. We take the bid price, we subtract the TP points, and then we multiply it with point. And now we want to round it. Now we can go ahead and add these variables to the buy and sell positions. First, instead of 0.1, we use lots. The open price for buy positions is the ask price. We choose stop loss buy and TP buy for buy positions. For the sell positions, we choose the bid price, stop loss sell and TP sell. And now we do the same thing for all the buy and sell positions. Okay, so now one last thing I like to do before we finish is arrange the inputs into groups. It makes the input section look much cleaner. You don't have to do this part yourself, but I just like to do it, so I'm going to show you anyway. So we go back up to the inputs and we use input group, and we'll make this one candlestick patterns, and then we'll store the patterns in this group. We then create another group called risk management, and we put the lot size, the stop loss, and the take profit inside this group. Also, if we go to the hammer signal function, you'll see that it has the 0.05 and 0.7. These are the max and min ratios for the shadows or wicks on the hammer signals, and you can change both these variables. This will always give you a completely new testing result and a completely new live trading result. So there's a lot that you can do with this now. If you have any more ideas or modifications, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll definitely take a look, and I may even cover them in a follow-up video. So now we can click compile. We then go back to MetaTrader. We click view, strategy tester, choose the file that we just created. Click the inputs. You can see now that we have the two groups, risk management settings and candlestick patterns. Let's turn engulfing signals and morning star signals to false, hammer signals to true, press start. Wait, that came on a bit too fast. Let me just restart that. Speed it up a bit. So now you can see the hammer signals trades are being taken with the stop loss and the take profit. Now we will turn that to false and we'll check the engulfing signals. You can see these are working. Okay, so now let's check the morning and evening star patterns. For start, yeah, and we can see those ones are working perfectly too. I hope you've enjoyed this mini series and I hope that you've learned something new from it. Thank you for watching, trade safe, and I'll see you in the next one.